Day 31 of Twaugust breaking Twawn. It is finally here, which means we have done 124 Twaugust episodes together, everyone. Give yourself an applause if you have listened to all of them. Okay, there you go. Not too much of an applause. You don't want to, be too narcissistic there. So, we did it. We finally did it. I have crossed the finish line. The Twilight series has been watched. I have absorbed it all. I have taken it all in. This entire series, it's taken me a while to get there, but that's the whole point. And this was all kicked off in 2022. So many years ago, it feels like now, and yet not that long ago, when a bit spiraled into a different bit, and I followed the path of the Bat Month into Twaugust, where I watched 4 minutes of Twaugust every day throughout the month of August. And that could not have happened without the person who... My transition also couldn't have happened. My trans fairy godmother, it's Alice. Hello, Alice.
Hi, hello.
Oh, we did it. You have set off a bit that you couldn't... I'm assuming, did you think when, in that formerly known as Twitter world, when you sent off an initial tweet exchange with me, that I would actually go through this entire series all the way through? Did you think I would even do the first one?
I mean, once you started doing it, I figured you would finish it through.
Yes.
I also kind of thought you might rage quit at some point because I think especially the first Twilight movie without a lot of context. I mean, you weren't going to watch 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 without context, but even the first one without context felt like that's a movie that people love to make fun of, and so I thought maybe you might just rage quit at a certain point. But no, you really did stick with it.
I think I had been through the gauntlet of how it's made and Mystery Science Theater / Riff Tracks, gone through just worse movies. And the worst, and actually, if we want to talk about the worst movie experiences, it's the ones that are so mid, but aren't entertaining, that you're just like, well, I can't, hate anything on this, because it was just fine, and everything was fine, and it was made, and it existed. Twilight definitely falls into the, okay, this has some fun, stuff is happening. Some of it's a little bit crazy because of the directing, the special effects, the design, whatever. But a lot of it is just, this is what's in the story. It also is just sort of, this is what the story is. And that's kind of been my attitude for all these films, is not to get too harsh on them, because I know they're just simply adapting the material that they were given. I felt like a lot of that came into how they divided Breaking Dawn parts 1 and 2, and we'll talk specifically about that because you have read all of the books. If I was,
I read the 4 original books. There is a 5th book now that I have not read yet.
Neither have. If you make it into a movie, I guess I'll have to be there. But the 5th one is the one that's from Edward's perspective. Is that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
it's
cool.
the events of Twilight, I think, from Edward's perspective. I haven't read it. I've been thinking about maybe I should, given the your participation in this, and then me rewatching all of these movies.
That's true. You got to put one in there, and the supposed TV series that eventually maybe would happen. I don't know. That was announced. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was announced 2 years ago, late 2 years ago. So it is something that it needs some time to build and develop. But yeah, this the experience that I did specifically of watching part 1 and part 2 together, but 4 minutes at a time of each, paid off in dividends that I couldn't have expected. The synchronicity of some of the things that happened and the way that they lined up really pleased me to no end. And I also think the experience of putting them both together made it much more possible. Because if I had gone through either one of these, I think individually, it would have been a little tough one way or the other. But just having them both be together, it's like, well, if the 4 minutes of one of them doesn't hit as much, I had the other one here to do it too. You had not actually seen either the Eclipse or Breaking Dawn's parts 1 and 2.
I had watched parts of Eclipse, not in order.
Okay.
but this was the first time watching it straight through, and then yeah, this is the first time I've seen either of the Breaking Dawn movies.
What would we get? What would we get? What are your thoughts having gone through them, especially Breaking Dawn parts 1 and 2 now? Very similar to the time frame that I had mine ending it.
I wish I had watched them sooner. I think Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 had some of my favorite stuff in the series. I really there's a certain amount of like lived-inness with the characters that you get, especially I think Breaking Dawn Part 1 towards the middle and end, even the wedding, and then Part 2 in the beginning when Bella's a newborn. Like you get this kind of like fun hanging out banter sort of thing that I really like. I like these characters, and I like that sort of stuff. It's like if they were on a hangout sitcom or something, as compared to being in a fantasy epic movie where they have to fight, they have to raise an army and fight people and stuff.
Yeah, they certainly found their stride with the characters by this point, and that is the one thing I did feel like, is that all of them were certainly very realized. In fact, part of my issue just with the second part, with adding all these extra characters that I know had to be there for the last battle, because in the books they're there for the last battle, was that just cut time from some of that exchange that we had. And Eclipse also, the high school friends are at that point an obligatory cameo anyways. They're not part of the main plot by any means, as they were in the first two when it's still high school bound.
Do you think if Anna Kendrick hadn't won the Oscar, if they would be in the last few movies?
I feel like if they hadn't, I feel like the wedding scene was such a cameo. Well, weirdly, it's cameo heavy, but it's also establishing characters that we are going to later meet in part 2 when we have the meetup. So there was more to that than just fan service and whatever. But I mean, yeah, no, even then it just felt like throwing them in here because, well, realistically, you wouldn't invite your high school friends to a wedding. And then they had their speeches too. So it's like, oh, they're also going to be here. It's not incidental. Anna Kendrick winning the Oscar, or not winning, but being nominated for an Oscar, I'm sure helped. Did it get her above the line in any sort of way that was like special? No, like she was essentially the first of the, okay, we have to like start putting people in below the line people anyway. So she's behind all the Cullens, she's behind the villains, since the credits are fresh in my mind, it is sort of funny that they just get like they're not even in part 2 and then they still get credits at the end of part 2 because they're doing credits of the entire, they're doing the entire like overall series cast credits.
They might have been in some of the like montages or flashbacks.
Yes,
because they credited Victoria, James, and Laurent as well.
Yes, yeah. That had to be the, I'm assuming, legal Writers Guild, or not Writers Guild, Actors Guild, whatever reason why they were on there. Which is, again, funny to me why the first movie started with so few credits at the top and we're right into the film with the wedding. And then part 2, it's like, no, we gotta credit every single motherfucker that you're about to see in this film, including, Rami Malek, Lee Pace, who I didn't realize got sort of their, I'm assuming somewhat breakthrough. Both of them, I'm guessing, had been in stuff beforehand, but this would be a lot of generalized audiences first look at them.
Yeah, totally.
Did you have a favorite of the three of them? Not the, you don't have to make a hard choice, but was there one of them that you enjoyed more of the others of the three that you just watched?
I think of the three new ones, I think I liked part 1 the most.
Interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think I liked part 1 the most. Part 2 was good, and then I'm just gonna say, did you notice that in the final montage when Bella is she's revealing her memories to Edward for the first time, and it's the montage of the movies. No clips from Eclipse. Eclipse just gets skipped over.
Oh, I see. I don't 100% remember all the events of Eclipse, but also in the sense of,
no, it goes straight from her in Rio, like running up to catch him at the end of New Moon, and then it goes straight to the wedding.
Because all that really was just Victoria's coming. Oh, here comes Victoria. We got to prepare against Victoria and
Edward, Jacob. And they have to sit in a tent for 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. I have to warm you up with my body. Oh my god, amazing. Um, yeah, I liked part one the least, but I also recognize how well of a made movie it is. It just was the parts that had like the most lulls for me, but you
But
know,
you and I like different things in movies
we
also.
like, yes, exactly. That's why I talked a lot about at the end that I thought this was did what I'm sure a lot of people who read the books wanted most: get the wedding, get the honeymoon, get the pregnancy, and then right up to the birth and end with the vampirism. Like what the perfect beat. But how much of that is the book breaking dawn? What's the actual like breakdown of the book that is that moment of it up to what's essentially all in part two?
Okay, so the book is in three sections. The first section is from Bella's POV. It's the wedding, it's the honeymoon, it's the pregnancy, and then it goes up until the baby is born. At which point, then it splits to Jacob's POV, because Jacob's POV, I believe it ends with him imprinting onto Renesmee, and then part three is Bella as a vampire to the end of the story.
Wild. So like Jacob just gets the whole section in here, and Edward's point of view, no, we're not gonna bother with that. We don't need to worry about what he's thinking. Um, I don't think these two films were a great reflection of Beaux's acting skills. Do you agree or disagree?
I think there were moments. I should have taken notes. There were definitely certain scenes where I felt like he was. They asked more of him. I think him
Mm-hmm.
talking about the part, especially in part one, towards the end when Bella's life is really at risk, and like I think him and Taylor Lautner have to have emotional moments, and I don't like. I love Taylor Lautner. I don't think he's a great actor, and I think Bobby Patz is holding up a lot of the emotion in those scenes and making it work.
That is very true. I think those are the moments that they let him come alive for most. And I think these Edward's not a very like in the movies at least he's not written to be more interesting or to give more in the
Hmm.
scenarios than what he is like doing most of the time because he's always supposed to be like calm. It's like when you're the archetype of like sort of this perfect person that has very few flaws, it just sort of like nullifies the controversial things that they can do. And so he's in this weird spot where he has to like sort of fend off Jacob's weirdness, but obviously like Jacob doesn't want to really hurt him or Bella, but is just freaking out as much as everyone else around him when she gets pregnant.
You
Not
you
re-
don't you don't think the two of them hate each other?
do I really think that they hate each other? I don't think they like each other, but I don't think that they like
Sure.
hate each other. There was a point that they served it. Like, yes, I think that there was a point that they hated each other, but I think by the end of Eclipse, and it's obvious, especially at the wedding, it was sort of obvious that um, Jacob had accepted it, but he's still. There's the whole like the weirdness of him being like, don't break her back when you do the vampire fucking, like how are you going to do it, which other people also have the question. It just is Jacobs is much more pointed because he has a more pointed interest in Bella, and also with them layering in the imprinting, which okay, he also doesn't realize that part of what he's feeling is because it's essentially like protection of Renesmee before she is born and conceived and such.
Yeah,
Which
I don't know
is
how much I believe that part of it. Um, I feel like that's a very convenient way to keep him in the story and wrap it up, and also push forward some of the Mormonism stuff that Stephanie Meyer likes to talk about. Um,
that is the weirdest thing. It is incredibly like it's some of those things that like maybe in a novel it works a little bit better and you can kind of buy into it and like the magical realism plays out in a different way. But watching a person just looking at a girl and like every once in a while just giving a glance of like, you know, and you're like, no, I don't want to know. I don't like it. Just as why, and then you have to do so much like showing of the future. The future, be like, hey, remember in the future they're gonna be together because we have to make this a consummate, nice legal relationship in the future. Even though mentally we realize that at
so
like year 11 or 12, that's when she's going to be physically mature. So
they said the other half human, half vampire guy said year 7 was when he fully matured.
Okay.
But also here's the thing. Okay, so in the book does vary a lot, and this was a big deal when they were like potentially making this movie. Stephanie Meyer always said like, I don't know how they're gonna make this movie because in the book, Renesmee comes out and she's like doing cartwheels. She's the dancing baby from Ally McBeal. She's like talking and moving around and stuff like immediately after birth, basically. And that was a big thing of like, how are they gonna do that? How are they gonna have this animated baby who's basically acting like a real person? And what they chose to do is just not do that. They did the thing where they CGI'd the actress's face onto the baby a bunch of times in a bunch of those scenes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were trying to do the actress's face or if they were trying to do a smush together of like K-Stu and Robert.
No, it was
Pattinson.
The actress's face.
Okay,
yeah. But
it was fine. I mean, it was a little weird, but it wasn't the worst thing ever.
Yeah, but so because of that, in the book, Renesmee has a lot more agency. She's actively saying like, "Oh, I actually love Jacob." She's all over him, and she I remember there's a scene where she's like rolling around and biting him and stuff because she's half vampire and stuff, and it's weird still. It's really fucking weird, but it's a little cuter in terms of like it gives her more agency as a character to understand that like this is not just him being a pedo creep. There is a two-way thing there.
Yeah, and again, it is like they keep hammering home how innocent this is, how innocent it is, and but then there's that moment at the beginning of part 2 where she's like, how fucking dare you imprint on her, you fucking asshole, and it's just like, whoa, like is
she wrong? Is she wrong though?
She's not wrong, but also it's like there's been so much laid on thick about how it's not a choice. It just is a thing that happens.
She literally just met the baby for the first time.
Oh, I know. She's not wrong, but it just is like, I agree. It's not, she is in her right to have her feels to that moment. It is totally true, but it is just so funny where it's almost like, Stephanie Meyer, you're writing that character as being mad at the thing you set up. You did this. Like, you didn't have to do it this way, but you did. So that was kept coming back to it was the amount of how part 2 just had to like include it, but then just scuttle right past it and just be like, okay, here's other shit going on.
But it's really important because plot-wise it's important because it then diffuses the tension between the werewolves and the vampires so that the final battle can just be them versus the Volturi, not them having to fight the vampires or the werewolves and the Volturi at the same time or whatever.
Well, and then also end up, diffusing the fight with the Volturi.
Yeah.
Which I was completely shocked by. I mean, here's the thing. I had seen the clip of the audience reacting to that fight being a vision, so I knew that it wasn't real. But I thought they still then had some sort of confrontation. I just assumed he would then try to react differently and it would still not work. Mm-hmm. Not that they would just go, well then, okay, I guess we won't fight. And first I just thought they were going to walk away, which is one thing. Then the payoff, whatever that was, with the people from the tribes of people from Brazil coming up and being like, oh, remember the whole vampire story set up in the first part? That's why it's here. It's for the combination of this person and Renesmee, and to like look at these two of them can seem to just exist normally, like they're just people here too. And then Aro just does a radical shift of his ideology then and there, but is it more of a political convenient one? That's my part. There's so many questions I have about this.
He saw a vision where him and his army essentially lost the battle.
Oh yeah,
or it was like, or even if they won, it was like a Pyrrhic victory. Like they all die, so
yeah,
he's trying to avoid that for sure. But he's also trying to save face, right?
Yeah, but my thing is also, yeah, so most of that felt like saving face and just like backing off tail tucked. But I just had too many questions about how long does this last? What happens then? These people have been in power for 1,500 years. Is there ever going to be an overthrow of it? Like there's, but that's what I'm obsessed with. Yes,
yeah.
That's where I want like I want like a conclave, but for the vampires. Like that'd be my movie.
So you got to go on AO3. You got to look up Twilight, and then that's where you're gonna do it.
Yeah. See, I will find stories there where that happens, where they decide the picking of who's in the Volturi and the leaders, and it will always involve some sort of circle jerk. That's just how it will always devolve to.
Now that I think about it, if you told me that Conclave started out as a Volturi fan fiction, I would believe you.
Yes, in the same way that 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fanfic. This would be a fanfic set up for Conclave. The body horror of showing Renesmee Grow in Bella was wild. Now, I have seen Stranger Things, and my reference point is the substance, but like in terms of like, things happening to someone's body, especially a woman's body, and using that as a metaphor and what all is meant to relay, and the horrors of pregnancy, like that was really effective, even though it was like nasty. In the book, I'm assuming it's that like
it's worse. It's way worse. She's like throwing up blood. She's like hemorrhaging blood. It's very graphic. It's really extreme.
Vampire venom, like the extraction of it and keeping of it, was that established way earlier in the series? And
that's it. Well, so in the first movie, and book, they talk about venom because that's how you turn a human into a vampire.
Yeah.
James's venom goes into Bella, and Edward has to suck it out. Remember?
Yes, like the venom part. That's what I sort of have forgotten that in a bit, but when there was the whole like collection of it, that threw me because I was like, wait, you're just extracting venom for what? Like just to have around for, I guess, this purpose? Like it was just
they knew that they had to turn her, and that they would have to turn her. Like they were waiting until the last minute because the plan was always, if Bella's about to die, they turn her.
Oh, so he had just been collecting that specifically for this moment. They didn't just have that around as like an EpiPen for vampirism.
No, I assume it's like blood draw essentially for vampires.
Yeah, from their venom sac, whatever it's made. Okay, so I guess that does answer that part a bit more in there. Did Kristen Stewart lose weight to get those shots? Do you know, or was
I don't know. I don't know, but. She was 20 when they made this.
God, was she really?
Yes, because she was like 17 when they first started filming. That's true. She was 20 because she was born in 1990, and this came out in 2012, but it filmed in like 2011. So part
one came out in 2021. So even
2011.
2011, sorry, yeah. Well,
yeah.
2011.
But she was like 20 when they made this movie. And so I was also that was the thing when I realized that, it was like, oh, she's even better as an actor than I was thinking, like from a younger age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she intentionally lost weight. There was some CGI for some stuff there, but I don't know.
I'm just having a moment because I realized that I saw Nikki Reed's in the name in the credits of the song somewhere, and I thought to myself, why is that name familiar? Oh yeah, because of course Nikki Reed is in
Rosalie
Twilight. Yeah, and she's Rosalie. So I'm like, oh, she got snuck some of her songs on there. Which American Mouth.
Oh yeah, the Bon Iver song.
That it's not Bon Iver, it's Iron and Wine.
Oh, sorry, Iron and Wine.
Which I also looked up because I thought, oh, so who is this duo group? And it's just one guy, and that's his stage name is Iron and Wine.
Yeah, his name is Iron and Wine. He was mostly famous for doing a acoustic cover of Such Great Heights. Like it was really popular in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, he had like a rock band song. So like I thought of that band. I didn't realize it was just one individual at the moment. That was a wild choice of a song for a wedding song.
It's because they play it's played in the first movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's the song they danced to at the prom in the first movie.
Oh my god. And I am wearing the prom dress
Yeah.
replica that you sent me, which we didn't even say. I forgot we addressed this before we recorded. You all, I've finished Twaugust, and so now I'm sparkling. I am using sparkle glitter shit that Alice found and sent me. That's official Twilight. Make yourself sparkle like a vampire.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok. It's a Twilight glitter body spray from Glamlight. It's officially
So,
licensed.
when I die a few days after this episode airs, you will know that it'll be from inhaling all of the glitter from the spray. But it sure did make me glow. My God, I am covered in this shit, and it looked like fluid that you would see in one of the Alien films when something bad happens to someone and you're like, oh, that fluid shouldn't be building on them. But I think, speaking of fluids, the blood, all the blood, the drinking of blood, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This was the series that made me queasiest of Twaugust because of all just the specific body horror stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Her just like chugging on the blood for some reason made me go, ugh! Like it just was really too much. Even there were certain points when the vamp, we got the inside shots within her bloodstream. It made me like wince a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's the point.
I like the taste of blood, so I don't know.
There it is. I don't mind the taste of blood in the sense of I'm not repelled by. I don't. Here's my thing is, and I come today with my own two pricks that I got because of vaccines. I got my ups on my Hep shot and my flu shot. So my two, and that makes me shimmery. Well, I legally still can get them. But yeah, it just was more visceral than a lot of the other ones had been. Did you feel like when you had seen these that they were upping them and making them more adult? Yeah.
Before you go on, I do want to say that if you are a person born with a vagina who has a menstrual cycle, you're kind of seeing that every month, like a version of that, and it's not as graphic all the time, but it can be. So for people who have both read the books and then are seeing this, I think it is less surprising.
That's true. Well, and also like I talked about, like I even said this. I am sure this would hit with like women, people who identify with like fully as a woman, people who have been pregnant, men who have been pregnant, like people who have gone through that part of the process and change in things and hormone, like there's all different sorts of reasons and stuff, you know. I even, just even the blood way, I didn't even compare it in a way to having mental illness like me and taking meds for the first time and you feeling like, oh, this is what it feels like to have like all my powers that I have connected together and everything. So I totally understand, but like you said, you and I just enjoy different things from media that we watch typically. And so much so that, the romance of this didn't win me over, but I actually think I enjoyed it the most out of all of them because it was the most adult. Like I think I enjoyed them being adults, even if they're very young, more so than like the first two where it's like, ooh, high school romance, he's cute, that she's shy, or he's cute, she's shy. I'm like, okay. But when it's like,
I think I liked in I felt like they took the honeymoon part of part one very seriously. I liked that she because she's ready to like fucking jump his bones constantly throughout the series,
yeah.
and then she gets cold feet when she's like brushing her teeth and stuff. I want you to know it's very important that when they fuck, they break the bed. That was a big thing on Tumblr back in like Twilight Tumblr days. Everyone loved talking about how they broke the bed from fucking so much.
Oh yes, those poor workers afterwards. And I love that you think those poor workers are just there for a reason. No, they have plot set up that will solve the entire thing by the end. Well, and I also was like, the fact that Edward went to Rio and then they went and honeymooned on Rio. Does he just have a thing for Rio? What's up with that?
They need to pick up. I don't know where it is in the book. They need to pick up filming location because they film both these movies back to back.
Oh, so okay, so it just, okay. So that's that. But does the book end with them finding another vampire?
It does. It does. I don't remember if they're
child.
specifically from a tribe in Rio, though.
Okay, and then, I don't know how far off Rio they are. Like they land in Rio
Right.
because we see Christ the Redeemer, so it's like, oh, here we are. And they might then, I don't know how long it takes them. They're out by boat, but I feel like if they're going by just like like a jet boat, they can't be that far away from Rio.
Yeah. Also, I thought it was very funny that Edward was freaking out because she had bruises after they had sex for the first time, and I was sitting there thinking like, hey man, some girls like that. Some girls pay good money for that sort of thing. So
literally when she was like, no, I liked it, I'm like, yeah, you do, Bella. Like you got awakened in other ways. Not just, you don't want vampirism, you just need like good BDSM. Is chess a thing in the book? Because there was the dream sequence where she like is playing him in chess and finally beats him, and that's clearly like something. And on the cover of Breaking Dawn,
on the cover of all the books are chess pieces.
oh, on every book there's a chess piece somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was the theme for the the original covers for the books. Yeah,
is that maybe?
I don't remember if they I don't remember specifically if they play chess during the honeymoon in the book, but it was very much that was just a homage to the covers of the books.
That's okay. So that really answers that. Is the chess in it is probably just as simple as the montage. Because it's not been like set up anywhere else in the entire series. So I was curious, like why, and I didn't know if it came into play.
I apologize, I was wrong. It is only Breaking Dawn that has the chess pieces, but they all have that sort of like white and black sort of theme.
Yes.
Or white and red theme. So yeah.
So yeah, for sure I knew it was an homage to the cover of the book. That's where I was just like, I don't know if it's literally just they're all chess pieces and we're getting set up for the final battle, but JK, there's not one.
I mean, I think it's trying to bring forward this theme that Edward says it later in the second movie that he keeps underestimating her and she keeps kind of rising to the occasion. It kind of foreshadows her being very competent as a newborn vampire in part 2.
Yeah, calling her a newborn felt very much the Christian metaphor of like, oh, you're born again. And I was like, okay, yeah. I kind of understand where you're going with that. I should have realized it sooner because the vampires did have different powers, but they all were sort of like still in the realm of psychically related things. When Rami Malek shows up and he's just all the benders can just bend the elements, and then there's other like the electric zapper and stuff. I had no clue they were just like, no, you get a superhero power when you also become a vampire. Is that just true for any vampire?
I don't know that all vampires get powers, but many of them do. Like, because like Jane has the whole thing where she causes physical pain with people too.
I guess, yeah. Well, but that's like a psychic. You know what I mean? Like everything so far had been on the realm of what I felt like was like a psychic power kind of thing. So I just felt like, oh, okay, cool, it's good. But then the one kid's shooting black smoke, and I'm like, maybe he'd always been able to do that, and I had forgotten it. You know,
I don't know if they show that. I don't know if they show that earlier, but it is definitely a thing that the vampire powers are not just limited to like telepathy and stuff.
Yeah, it happened to be what had happened so far. So when in the fourth film, all of a sudden we're gathering our Avengers, on both sides, and it's like, oh fuck, we're revealing powers and things in small montages. I don't like the shielding aspect. That's a huge reveal that I assume happened in Breaking Dawn, where they learned that. So to have that and it be a part where you have to introduce that element to it, because it's also comes into play in the final confrontation. So there was so many dominoes they did have to set up, that because the first part of Breaking Dawn, the movie, is clearly the Bella perspective, that first act, all of her perspective of it. That's like, all right, Jacob's stuff is all kind of shoved in here, and partly our part B plot in part 1 when we can sprinkle it in here, and the gathering of all the people, that truly was like the third act post Bella is a vampire, and that is just when it happens. Was everyone in the movie someone we'd met before? Were the people that were in, I didn't look it up, I'm not sure what Middle Eastern country or Northern African country they go to.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of those characters were introduced. The one vampire who sees the one vampire who sees Renesmee and then goes to the Volturi, Irina, she was, I believe, one of the ones who got turned as part of the Eclipse fight, and then the other, then the Denali Empires adopted her.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why at the wedding she's kind of freaking out because she can't do it because she's not used to being around humans so much, and she's mad that one of the werewolves are at the wedding because they killed Laurent, who is, I think, either who turned her or was around then.
Yeah, I think they were an item. In that film. It part 2's just crime is being so bloated, but it's so bloated because the story had all these characters that were necessary to get in there. It was so funny to me when we spent over a week of Twaugust time in the wedding, and I'm like, I don't know what else I expected. Like, of course, we're going to make a huge deal of the wedding. And I assume that is also, that's the beginning of Breaking Dawn. We start with the wedding.
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. Again, I didn't expect it. I thought part 1 was going to end, before going into it, I thought part 1 was going to end with the wedding. That just seems like the big moment. And didn't realize that, no, it's wedding, honeymoon, pregnancy, birth, vampirism. Boom, 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 boom.
But I mean, it's a movie. It's a movie for women. It's a movie for girls. The wedding has to be important.
Yes. No. Exactly. Yes. That's why. No. Oh, yes. And these are incredibly well made for their target audience. Like this. I mean, you can tell it made billions in the box office. I was so curious if the split was a cynical split, but then I don't know how you get all of the required stuff that the book has into one film.
Right.
The thing you would sacrifice is essentially the wedding, the honey, like you would shorten all that stuff up. And as you said, that's literally what the target audience is all here for.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think they really wanted to end on Bella waking up as a vampire as the reveal. Right.
Oh yeah. That's it. That also is a great ending for your first film. No, I agree. That's a great splitting point in terms of your story, especially when in the book, the part 2 is just all sort of those events again, but from Jacob's perspective. And then the third part is really leading up to why all this shit in all of these books have happened together there.
But just like going back to the wedding, I thought it was really beautiful, and I thought they did a really good job of it. It felt very Twilighty in terms of the story. Like it didn't become a different kind of movie. Like all the characters are there. They're still having like Alice be over the top. The high school kids are being snarky. The speeches section I thought was really well done.
Oh, it was very funny. Yes. And it was very much like, remember all these characters, remember how it is a good way to like quickly refresh the audience, the personality of these people that we're going to be seeing in these next 2 movies. I did think for a moment when they were kissing and they turned around and everyone was gone, I thought for a moment it was going to be a thing like, oh shit, the wedding got attacked and that's the inciting event. No, it was just a choice in the moment to be like, they are so in love. It's as if no one else is around them. And little did I know that was going to be a case for a lot of that first half was we just spend time with it all around them. Was this like deemed controversial at the time because there was like sexiness that, again, there's no nudity, but there's sexiness being displayed and that there's rubbing of bodies and shit?
I mean, at this point the books have come out, all the books have come out, and so the discourse around the fact that it is like a thinly veiled Mormonism propaganda in terms of Edward wanting to not sleep with her until after they get married, and then they have sex once, and then they have a baby immediately. That stuff had been well discussed. I think everyone was pretty ready for them. Like I said, fans on Tumblr loved the fact that they broke the bed when they were fucking, so fans were ready.
Do you remember
I do want to say, to her credit, Stephenie Meyer is enthusiastic about the sex that they have when they have it. Like she doesn't shy away from the fact that they're having sex on their honeymoon.
Yeah.
That
both of them are consensually enjoying it.
A more chaste movie would have done all of these things and then just not touched it at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, what was the reaction to the finale, like the book, at the time? Was it felt like, oh, this was a good, satisfying conclusion to the series
Hmm.
from fans?
I think
Or
so. I
okay,
don't remember. I don't remember a lot of specifics. I do remember. I do think that people were very happy with it. You know, they get the happily ever after ending. They liked that it was an explanation for why, you know, Bella's powers, and that's why Edward can't read her mind and stuff.
mm-hmm.
I think people were you know, rightly weirded out by a lot of the Renesmee stuff, but um yeah, I don't think, I think that people left Twilight liking the series. They didn't feel like it didn't have like a Game of Thrones ending where it really soured them on it or anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like a lot of the nostalgia is happening now is people really look back on that series very fondly.
Yeah, and you know, we're celebrating recently, sort of the anniversary of these films coming out. Like 2 years ago was the 15th anniversary of the first film coming
Hmm.
out. So right now we'd be in like the 15-year anniversary of Eclipse coming out, and they're the people who were watching this are now having kids and showing it to their kids, and so some of those like young adults that were raised on it because their parents were into it are now getting on and being able to meme with it and
Yeah,
understanding it
all
and
the little
stuff.
Edwards and Bellas who are now probably, you know, in middle school.
Yes, exactly. Um, uh, it was, and to the point that this has permeated the culture to the neighborhood listen episode I listened to yesterday. They Paul F. Tompkins riffed for a bit on the whole Team Edward, Team Jacob stuff, and he was like, "How could anyone be Team Jacob? He clearly sucked." Like it's obvious. Like he's like, "I haven't seen the films. I just know what little I know of it." It's like, well, how could you not, be for him anyways? And by yeah, all the events of these films for sure, Jacob did kind of suck, but that may be my biggest thread that is hard to deal with. Is you're like, as you even ask the question, do you think they didn't hate each other? It's like, well, I have to accept that for sure by the end they don't, because they're just making father-in-law jokes and things when she's not even like legal age yet and stuff. So they're like totally just in on this whole, you're gonna grow up to be, my daughter's husband, and that's absolutely fine. And that to me felt the most Mormon-y of like children. You can start when children are young just choosing who their husbands and stuff are going to be, and it's like, hey, how about maybe you give them time and agency and a lot of other things before you even start to consider that, like maybe
Yeah.
let them figure out who they are as a person. So it just
It's
is, it is a lot of like hand waving you have to do, and a lot of accepting that this is innocent. It's 100% innocent. You dare be the one to think of it as anything other than innocent, you pervert. Like it is, and you're like, okay, Jesus, fine.
I mean, I don't think the characters are clear. The characters in the story are very uncomfortable with it. Like, I think you're allowed to think it's uncomfortable. You don't have to just like greenlight it. I think. Um,
But I guess by the end you kind of have to, because
well,
everyone's okay with it by the
by
end.
the end, by the end of the book, she's more of a coherent human who appears to be making a choice. Also, the implication I think is that she's going to live to be like, she's going to live potentially forever. At an adult age, when she reaches maturity, she's going to live forever, and Jacob's not going to live forever, so he's going to die at some point.
That's true. And I guess we'll get to that part. And they lived happily ever after, forever and ever and ever. What's their fucking future like? They just live until the heat death of the universe? What
Yeah.
is what I I don't I don't I it just I don't. It really is weird to me because there's so many like hanging threads, especially when we just return to status quo with this whole Vateri thing, and there's still like other vampires that are gonna want to overthrow them. Is no one ever gonna attack the Cullens again? Like, what is, And I know it's just because this is where the series ends, but we're giving that glimpse of them in the future, so we know they're happy, at least some point
Yeah.
in the extended future on there. But I just, it's that part was the only thing that made me kind of internally. And again, this is the most Missi thing. Why would something romantic and happy be there? Why would forever ever? Oh, why would something fantastical and Why would you even think about those moments after? But it's just partly because those were the things that just happened in front of my eyes were why I was thinking about those things. But it's also why I was just curious about the end, because I truly didn't know, like, were the fans of it satisfied? And, like, yes, they like how all of it wrapped up, or if people were just like, whoa, that, like, everything was too convenient or whatever.
No, people want a happily ever after.
They do. They want a happy ending,
and it's not. And they put them through some struggles, and they clearly are like over the course of the 4 books and the movies, all of the concerns about them being incompatible with each other kind of fall away, and they seem extremely compatible with each other at the end. I think especially once Bella becomes a vampire and she's kind of on even footing with Edward.
So was there a lot of fans that were faked out by the big battle part? Did they really think it was going to happen, or were they sitting there and going, "Nah, we know what's going to happen"?
I don't know. I can't.
I guess that's true, because you didn't see it at the time. I forgot. Sorry.
Right.
So that, of course, you weren't probably as tuned in on it in that regard. Yeah, these movies are certainly not as bad as all of the shit that was strewn at them. So much of it, like, I mean, it's obvious on the face of it just because a movie like this is going to get some sexist hate. But after having seen all of them, yeah, they are nowhere near. The first one is the closest to some crazy moments, and partly because of just budget and stuff. There's a little bit of Uncanny Valley like adaptation things, but it has also great, beautiful moments built within it too, like some really high highs, just some silliness and stuff built in there. Even in this movie, I don't think I will ever think it's just showing people running in slow motion and having to portray that, either showing them running real fast or everything that it's never going to look 100% right. But this was the best special effects by far. They had the money for it. They had extras out the wazoo. So they clearly had everything they could to throw at it. So I think as a holistic series, it's a very good, like, time capsule of phenomenon and momentum, and to actors that would go on to do much better things than this.
I think it's hard because this is the thing that defined both of them for so long.
Yes.
And they both have basically made a career out of trying to stay away from commercial movie making for the most part. I think Kristen's done more of it than Bobby has.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I think is really interesting is that, like, a lot of the complaining at the time was that they're both very stilted. There's a lot of silence between the two of them. They're both very reserved, and the characters are written that way. Like, Bella is written as shy and anxious, and Edward is written as very conservative and reserved. And I feel like history has proven out that both Kristen and Rob are good actors who are good at doing that thing specifically.
Yes.
And if you were to, when you watch the movies, you do see there are these other characters. There's Alice. There's Charlie. There's Jacob. There are these other vibrant characters in the movie that are there. It's not just everyone is just stilted and quiet. It really was like the choice for the story and their acting choice to do that. And I think they got pilloried for that in a way that I feel like history has really proven out that they know what they're doing, or they knew what they were doing. It led to interesting films being made by both of these actors later in their careers.
Also, it is so hard to write and portray two essentially introverts. Because I know, as you say, a lot of Bella's stuff that we feel and things that we kind of get are from the narration and from inside of her. Like, when they had the voiceovers, I think it was a lot more in part one. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, right, this is a thing. Like, we are, like, hearing a lot of her inner thoughts throughout the series and stuff. And she is the narrator of the books and everything within there, except for apparently the part in Breaking Dawn where it's Jacob who takes over and starts. Does that happen in any other times in the books?
No.
Okay, fascinating. But I guess you have to make the landing with Renesmee, and so spending some time with Jacob and getting into his head and knowing how innocent his thoughts are would help.
But also think about it. They had essentially built this whole Team Edward, Team Jacob rivalry. They had put Taylor Lautner on a pedestal, and at that point,
true.
He he didn't have a lot going on. He lost the battle to win Bella's heart, and so they wanted to give the Jacob fan something.
Well, but by the time that the book was done, it was just the first Twilight movie had come out, right?
Mm-hmm. But the books, but even
but in the books, the people were already the Team Edward, Team Jacob. That came from the book release.
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course, I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, of course I should. I only became aware of it because of the movies. So I thought, and because it was a hashtag era, my brain was just like, oh yeah, hashtag team. This is some new, I guess it'd be some media person came up with it, whatever. Yeah, I guess of course it would make sense that people were already on the lines of that with the book series. Duh. Do you prefer at the end of the day the books or the movies?
I think the movies. Especially now that I've watched all four. Like, I've watched the first two movies probably like 6 or 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch definitely Breaking Dawn's part 1 and 2. Maybe not the whole thing, but I'd watch parts of that like over and over again. Like I like the actors. I like that. I think some of the actors, especially I think like Ashley Greene being Alice, really brings something to the role that is not there on the page necessarily. Like, she's quirky and she's fun, but it's not the same reading it versus seeing it. I think a lot of the sort of campy banter between the Cullens in general works really well in the movies. So yeah.
Yeah, the family's banter was always, I felt, stronger than than again, knowing now the books, the two introverts and sort of Bella and Jacob stuff. But speaking of those two actors and everything, yesterday it was announced that Twaugust is continuing, and we're going into 2026 with Twatter for Twelephants, my journey of watching Water for Elephants 4 minutes a day over the month of August. Do you know anything about Water for Elephants?
No, I can't say I do.
Okay, the only thing I remember from the campaign at the time was best-selling book, Robert Pattinson, the thing that he's doing that's not Twilight at the moment, and who is he with? Why, it's Reese Witherspoon. So I assume this is one of those things when she started optioning books and producing them for herself, that she did. So I'm very curious to get a direct comparison in this era of what Robert Pattinson can do, since it was like the biggest example of something that he did while also in the Twilight saga era. Within there,
wasn't the original problem for this the fact that we were talking about the Batman 2022, and you were very much in like not understanding why anyone would find Robert Pattinson appealing.
Yes.
Right, because it was like you as a queer person we're not into him, did not really get it.
Yeah, I didn't get Bobby Pats.
It's been 4 years. You've watched 5 movies. I think you like, for better or worse, you've seen some of. I think that they've made him be as appealing as a male love interest as I think you can, at least at this point in his career. Like short of him being in a fucking Nora Ephron, Meg Ryan romantic comedy, I think this is probably as good as you're gonna get. Do you get it now?
Do I get the appeal? Oh, yes. No, I understand the appeal to other people, not for like me, obviously. Like that, the type of person he's being portrayed on in these movies is not my type whatsoever. It's also it seems like a very heteronormative type, so it's not really coded for me anyways. But I understand like that, the broodingness, like the care, the fact that he's always like thinking of Bella in all these situations and all the choices that he makes, even when he has to remove himself, it's because of it. But I don't know how much. Part of me is also still not sure how much of that is Edward writing versus Robert Pattinson, which is why I need to break from something so not Edward just to get a completely different appeal of it, take of it. And to be real, I just can't deny myself the opportunity to do a miniseries called Twatter for Twelephants. Like, it's
pretty sweaty.
Absolutely doing it for the bit. and an excuse to keep Twaugust alive. Like I truly I didn't know to myself, like, what do I do after this is done? Like, do I just stop? It's my easy out, and I could have just done it here, but I kind of like this exercise and what it's become, and I feel like, if I want to understand Bobby Pat's better as an actor, especially, I need to just see another example of his work.
Okay, can we talk about the supposed romance between Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart that happened while they were making these movies?
Well, knowing what we know now, do you think they ever consummated it?
Well, okay, so here's the deal. It was described as they got together while making. I think it was around when New Moon came out is when they went public.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of appearances together as a couple. Press appearances, red carpets and things, and then in 2012, I believe, Kristen Stewart gets caught kissing the director of Snow White and the Huntsman, and she apologizes. They break up. She never dates a man. She never dates a man again. Every other person she's dated since then is a woman. She publicly claims to be a bisexual. I'm questioning that, but what do you think?
When we talked a little bit about this during the Snow White and the Huntsman episode as well, with the sort of kerfuffle that happened there. I don't know. It is absolutely plausible for me, and like possibly likely. Like I buy that was not a real relationship. I'll say that. I don't know. Like, but then again, knowing what we know now, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And there seemed to be a sort of like trying to think how to say this. When they were interacting together, there was sort of a bit of a, can you believe we're getting away with this sort of energy that came off of their interactions and stuff? Like that little bit of laughing of like when they asked questions about like, so what's it like in there, when you like your kiss or switch or stuff, and they were sort of like, like, oh yeah, it's great, whatever. But that was from the limited stuff that I saw at the time. In hindsight, afterwards, looking at it and being like, oh, I should look this up. But yeah, I also don't like. I think back to the studio times back in like the 30s and 40s and 50s and all the arranged hetero relationships that people had, not even to cover up the like the gay shit. Like that happened too, but like they would just pair two couples up together no matter what. Like it was just, oh, you both are hetero, you two get together, and sometimes they'd get married and then they're divorced 2 years later because guess what? It wasn't actually meant to be this couple. It was a promotional convenience or whatever. That's partly why I do buy more into it could be happening. How much of that is them themselves, the studio, their publicists, whatever, them trying to play off of the thing? Because I also know that Robert Pattinson's a huge troll. Like he trolls media and interviews and stuff, and learning that he almost has that sort of like, not 100% but in a different way, the Andy Kaufman, Joaquin Phoenix, like how much of this is them being serious and how much is this them playing off of the fact this is what you expect them to be doing, sort of, and haha, the joke's on you for actually believing it, sort of po-face.
I don't think he's doing it because the joke's on you. I think he likes to do it because he thinks it's funny to just lie in interviews. I think I don't think it's necessarily he's like mocking people. I think he just likes being absurd.
No, I guess not so much mocking like common people. I meant the reporters and like the people for like the absurdity of the questions being asked. Then allow me to do the performance art of lie with my answers because this is all a banal exercise that we're doing. Anyways, I just want to go make art. And they both, I think, have a I just want to go make art attitude about them.
Do you think that Suki Waterhouse, his wife of a few years, makes fun of him by calling him Edward and saying this is the skin of a killer to him?
I think she calls him the spider monkey all the time for sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they playfully talk about it. I think it's been a healthy amount of years, and he's been able to establish an identity outside of this, which is again part of the reason I just want to explore. Like Water for Elephants is an incredibly silly one because there are much more critically regarded roles of his that I could be diving into. I'm acknowledging how much of a bit it specifically is, but I want to be able just to make a clean transition out of Twaugust and keep doing it in different years with other films that are better than that one. It just was literally the first one that that was the movie that stumbled across it, that gave me the idea to want to continue doing this to begin with, and so therefore I had to commit to it once it got into my head.
Okay, next question. I want to clarify or correct myself. Suki Waterhouse and Bobby Patz are engaged. They've been engaged.
Oh, engaged. Okay.
But they've been engaged. They've been together since 2018. And to my earlier point about PR relationships, I do not think they're PR. I think they're serious. They had a child in 2024. They had a daughter. When do you think the daughter watches Twilight?
Oh, they had a daughter in 2024. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the first Twilight is pretty chaste because there's just kissing, but there is some scary shit with the kidnapping of the mom and the vampires and all that. And I was reading up on it. I forgot Phil. Phil is in the first one. I was commenting about Phil and like, wait a minute, Phil? Like, who's Phil? Oh, little did I know. I probably like really got into Phil in the first one too. But I feel like there's maybe enough stuff that you could show her it. 10?
Do you think she makes it to 10 without seeing it? Like I know celebrities are able to keep their kids offline, but
okay, there's a difference between how old it is until she first sees stuff of it versus how old it is that Bobby Patz sits her down and they watch it together.
Well, I'm sure that I get the feeling that would never happen. Like, not in a million years.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, she would get at a certain point, kids are going to get old enough and they're going to know that that's her dad. And so they're going to be showing, yeah, they'll know at a certain point, or some mom's going to be like, oh, hello, your dad was, I loved your dad in this movie. Like, someone's going to at some point make a weird comment and she'll be weird, aware of it, maybe even as young as 5. I don't know, but yeah, it is going to seep into her life at some point. But I would say sit down and watching it, if that were to happen, and the answer is not never, I think 10 years old.
Okay.
What I guess, do you think that's the appropriate age for someone to see the first Twilight film? I'm trying to remember if there's any shit in it that is scarier than just vampires kidnapping and not quite blood. There isn't
a lot of gore in that one. There is some violence at the end. I think maybe like 10 or 15. Not 15, 10 or 12, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's different, like, if it's your dad showing it to you, so like, oh, I'm in this, and that's, he can set up the context, then if they're not.
I mean, other than this and Harry Potter, he doesn't have a lot of movies he can show his kids.
No, you not gonna be showing The Lighthouse quite yet. This experience has been just, I'm a bit surprised myself that I've gone through with the bit as long as I have, but I think I am a person who loves routine and who loves establishing some tradition and such, and to have just this lovely little tradition to reflect on it all and reflect of our meeting and my egg cracking and all of that in the moment will probably be the majority of the reason that I keep this going the whole time. But I think there's just a lot more that of an untapped well for this. I think this bite-sized daily thing of watching movies is an untapped vein. So I'm going to be the one to continue going on with the tradition that you set forth here.
I mean, I kind of stole the premise from Star Wars Minute, so.
And there you go. There's Star Wars Minutes. Do they just watch every Star Wars movie 1 minute at a day, or
yeah, one minute per episode? Yes.
Interesting.
I don't think it's daily. I think it's weekly, but yeah.
Weekly, okay. And that's like they bring in guests on, and it's a whole discussion and breaking down and all of that. Yeah. the live commentary over several days feels different to me than like a full summary kind of, or like a nerdception. Especially in the moment where none of us are doing. I mean, you did research by watching shit, but like we're not going in and finding articles. We're not like looking up what the product. Like this is all just raw emotional stuff to me. It is what it is.
I did remember something which I'm going to send you. Maybe you can cut this out of the podcast if you want. It is a 4-minute clip of Kevin Smith talking about seeing girls watching the Twilight New Moon trailer at Comic-Con.
Oh no, I would love to watch that at some point.
It's gross.
Oh, it's not a good. Oh, is he? Oh,
he's trying to say something nice. It's 2009, okay?
Oh, he's
it's
trying
Kevin
to say
Smith, and it's 2009. You got to keep those things in mind.
But he is trying to say something nice.
Yes,
but it still ends up being him saying it is gross.
A little bit, yeah. From what I remember.
I will be curious to watch that. I mean, yeah, that sounds like it could be right. And that's just also, I mean, just how nasty were people about this movie in general, though. So just even trying to say something nice about it, like, you know, extend some credit. But I probably will go listen to the How This Made episode about it. I'm sure they were incredibly derisive and nasty about it. But I am just curious to hear a sort of a contemporary review that is purposely trying to present it as a bad film, just to kind of see what they were globbing onto. I have ideas, but you know, for me, I still think that they're well-made movies. Like their money that they spent is all on the screen. Like it is all there, yeah. And the production value of these are incredibly high. I just think the most crazy stuff is things that come from the book and just, you know, what the stuff we've already talked about. But
I've watched big budget movies that I've liked a lot less than these movies. For sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, there were Marvel movies that were a bigger pill that I've seen than this and such. So this, if we're using the Scotty Ox ranking method that he does, and Scott hasn't seen, where he talks and says, did he enjoy this movie or could he have died without seeing it? I enjoyed these enough that I don't say, oh, I could have died without seeing these, but they're also not films that I probably will dip into watching myself again. Like if friends wanted to watch it or something, yeah, I would sit down and watch them. I'm not like going to, you know, it's not like, oh, I reject them upon them all. Like having seen them now and the Band-Aid's off, but it is, all of them at the end of the day just aren't the type of film that are up my alley.
You could say that really what you've learned from this is that you are a flightless bird with an American mouth.
I am a flightless bird with an American mouth. I am 100%. I am the fat cat. I am the rat eating poison and all those things. I am glittering. I am glowing. I'm sparkling. I am newborn because I am now, from before having seen all the Twilight films and now having seen them all and moving on to different things. Alice, thank you so much for joining me on this Twaugust recap. Any other thoughts you have on the Twilight film that you want to share, that you want to leave our audience with, just to kind of think about as this off this, I guess it's weird, 3-year journey before series because of how time works and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I think I like these movies partially because I read the books at a time where I read the books because an online friend told me I needed to read them. I did find them very compelling, even if I didn't agree with them in a way that I didn't necessarily with other book series. Like I read The Hunger Games and I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as reading the Twilight books, even if I thought The Hunger Games were better written. I think also, I don't know how much of this is a factor, but I definitely felt this way watching these movies, is that if I were a vampire, I would literally just be Alice Cullen. I would just be throwing parties and dressing my friends up. So
100%. Like, yeah, you are. It is so hilarious how Alice coded Alice is in this, in this entire series. I'm trying to think of who I would be. Like, I don't feel like I have a 1-for-1. Maybe I do kind of like.
No, I know.
Oh, who is it?
You'd be Rosalie.
I was just about to say that's the one that Rose that like cares for the baby and stuff. Yeah, I'm like
who hates Bella and hates that she's a vampire, but
Yes, yes, we'll put that part and layer it on there. But comes around at the end because baby, I love the baby. And my status as a aunt uncle, there's no non-binary term for that, so blah, gotta just slam that together. An uncle, that sounds the worst. I know that that's true. I do love when like just when my nieces and nephews were super young and everything. Now they're growing up to be amazing brats. I love it. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. And I can't wait for them to learn about the Twilight series. I have nibblings that will soon be of Twilight age. The oldest of them, he turned 10, so it's going to be happening soon. Oh, I'm going to be able to say, and I've seen it. I've seen it. I have thoughts. Hooray!
My understanding is that children do not enjoy linear media anymore, so we'll see.
Oh no, we'll have to deal with that. Maybe if they make a Twaugust map on Fortnite, or if they bring Bella and Edward into Fortnite. They will, if they remake the series as a miniseries, those actors will be brought in as the Bella and Edward for that Fortnite.
Why haven't they put Twilight in Fortnite yet? That's a good question.
Probably
Lionsgate, what are you doing?
I mean, is it simply the fact that Bobby Patz and Kristen Stewart won't give, like, Kate Stu won't give their likenesses to the game, and they haven't figured out a generic model to make of them that people wouldn't be like, that looks fucking stupid. That's not Bella and Edward.
I think you could make a genericized version of them that is close enough that doesn't actually resemble them. Because you give Edward the hair and he sparkles and he's in the clothes.
I mean, Stephanie Meyer might be the one holding it back. Maybe she doesn't want, Edward to be having a grenade launcher, or for Jacob to be slicing people with some Star Wars weapon. Maybe she doesn't. She thinks that it should be a pure inward story. But it's a good question. But we ask, why isn't Larry David in Fortnite? Who knows why those decisions are made? If they had been released today, they absolutely would have been in Fortnite. That would have been, without a question, the thing that would have gotten them through. Imagine you would be able to have Alice with alternate outfits, predicting the future of your opponents, the 12-year-olds on the other end, and you'd be able to pwn them. Ha ha.
That's all I want.
Well, Alice, then, okay, look into the Twaugust future. What do you see next year for Twaugust, for Twilight? What is your prediction?
I think you're going to not like this movie, and it's going to break you, and it's going to be much harder than doing this series was.
Well, there's only one way to find out. We're going to have to wait another year. This is Twaugust, the Twilight saga